The one thing is I don't find this whole code cleaner, you know. So currently we have only model and route, and we are writing everything inside route itself, and this is not a good practice to write everything in route. So we should separate this information, or we should always separate this information. Okay, so we should always try to segregate whatever logic means in one file, database reading writing is one file, and services in another file. So for that I'm going to create this project as a whole modular project, and this will look fine, and the code standard will be industry level standard, and you will see, and you will get idea like how we write controller, what to write in the controller, what to write in the services, how to create a database wrapper, everything. So let's just write that. So to write anything we will be starting from the controller. So just create one folder called controller. Then we will again creating one more folder which will be services, service, controller, service, and another one will be or just make it plural, services, controllers, make it plural. This look nice. I will again creating one more folder which will be helper, and inside that I am going to write DB helper or whatever is required going forward inside that helper. I will be creating util function also to write some utility functions, but I'm not going to do that right now. I will again create one middleware folder to access anything between the request and response. So but currently middleware is not required anywhere, so I'm not going to create that. So I'm leaving that for the future videos. So now let's just write controller. So what to write in controller? Controller is actually accessible to end user, and controller, you can say this is a public thing. End user will always access your controller. Routes, then routes will call your controller, means this is accessible to the end user. So whatever you have written here in the routes, each and every route will have one controller function. Okay, in the services we actually, or I just forgot, you always write your business logic. You always write, remember, you always write your business logic in controller. You always write your business logic in controller. In services, you always try to connect with your database, fetch information, process that information in whatever way you want. In database wrapper is just a helper, don't create a same thing every time. Like here you can say like book.create I'm writing, but I don't want to write model.create every time. I will write one book DB helper. In that I will pass just model name and body, and it will just create me it will just add information or collection to the database. So for that I'm going to use DB helper. So let's just write controller first. Okay, so in controller just create one file. I'm going to name it as book.controller. So one naming convention here to note, you always write controller like whatever file name you have written, dot what is inside where this file and what is this file. So this is a controller file, right? So like this is book and this is a controller file, so that's why I have written book dot controller to identify like what is this file. Otherwise there will be lot of file and you will get confused like what is this file, what is this file. So that's why to segregate file names, I'm just going to write folder specific file name. Okay, now here we have successfully created book controller file. Now just export whatever function we are going to write here. Okay, now let's just check what is inside our route. So first is to render book page, second one is to render book form, third one is to add book. So for every route we are going to create a controller. To render book page, I'm going to create one function called display books. Okay, this will be a async function as told. This will take request, response and next as a parameter, and look here I'm getting error. This is since this is JSON, so I cannot write equal to, this will be a colon. Okay, so here we have written display book. Now whatever is inside this render, just copy and paste it here. Now just format so that it will look more cleaner. So what we did, we just create first we have write module.exports to export whatever is inside this JSON object, and we have inside that object JSON object we have written one display books function. This display book function is doing exactly same whatever we have written in the router. We simply removed whatever definition is present in the book router. Okay, now let me just show you. And to use this information, to use this book display book, we just have to call that controller. But we will be again creating one more file, index.js, since I don't want every time I just have to export book.controller here in the another functions. So to so here I just have imported book controller, and I'm just going to export this book controller. Now what I will do, instead of importing this book.controller.js in every file, I will just import book controller, and book controller will have this I will just import controllers, and this controller will have a book controller access. So going forward, whatever controller we add, we will be adding that controller in the index.js also, so that when we import this controller in another file, that controller which we have created will be accessible. Okay, now just import that book controller here, and it will be like this. And it is here, right? Controllers. Look, we have book controller access. We have book controller access. Now here you can just simply remove this function, and here you can write book controller dot display book. Now what it will do, it will just whenever we trying to display any book information, this will call this controller. This controller have all the logic to return the book. Here we will get error because we have not defined book model yet. So let me just display book model, copy this book model here, from here to, let me just check if I have got okay. Now let me just restart. So I think our app has already restarted. Okay, so this will be like this. Okay, our app is already started, and if I refresh, I will get the same information. If everything is correct, look, I'm getting the same information. Why? Because this is doing exact same work, but we have just cleaned our code. Look, this is more clean. So we will be doing the same for rest of the route. To add a book form, so here I will create add book form controller. Here I will just cut this and paste it here. This is fine. Then here I will write book controller dot add book form. Then another one is this one, and this one is add book. Just paste it here. Again, go to route and you can write book controller dot add book. Okay, so this look, this code is more cleaner now. We don't have any function available in the route. If we want to access any function, we can just click on it. It will redirect me to the controller. Now in the controller we have logic to display fonts and whatever. But again, this code has some problem. Like again, we are calling database operation in the controller itself, and in the past, as I have told you, we are not going to do that. We will be creating services which will be responsible for accessing or performing any kind of database operation, like any kind of, like suppose in this controller, what is required is to find all book. Okay, require is to add any book. We will be adding this information in the services, and we will be calling that services everywhere. So just create a service, same like controller, just create a service. For now, just minimize this controllers, go to services. Where is services? Here. Now create a file book.service.js. Again, I'm going to create a index.js. Why? Because I don't want to import book.service everywhere. I only want to import services. Here is like controllers. I will write module.exports. Now, what functions do we write in this service? For now, we only have two requirements. We have one requirement to fetch all the book, and we have one requirement to create a book. Okay. In future, depending on the need, we will be adding more functions here. But for now, we only have two requirement. So just write one function, find all books, or get all books looks more meaningful. Here again we will write async function, async request. Look here, I don't have to send a request, because I'm going to send all the book information. To send all the book information, we don't have to apply any kind of filter as of now, I can see. So we don't have to write anything. I'm just going to write next, because in case if we get any kind of error, we will be sending that error on the error route. Now just copy that book controller this one here, and what we will do, we will simply return await book dot find. So what we will do, we will just what we have done is we just have we just have written this function, and we are returning it. But look, we have to handle error also. So to handle error, we will write try catch block, but I'm going to copy paste the same code again to so that you don't get confused. So here we have written books await book dot find all, and let me just write try catch block also. In case of any error, just type next e, so that it will redirect us to the error page, and console log that error. Console log that error. Okay, so this is done. Now I'm going to return that book information from here. So this line is also not needed. We can simply return from here, but in future if we want to add something like some logic here, then we can write that logic. So for that I'm going to leave it as it is. Now what more requirement we have? We have one requirement to create a book. So here we can write add book or create book. Add book is more cleaner async. What this will do, this will take a body parameter as a parameter, and next. Now what this will do, it will just simply or we can just simply copy paste this code. From here to here. We don't have to write this.redirect in our service. We have just created a book. We have printed error. We can write next e to redirect it to error page if in case of any error, and we can simply return book. So here we have created a book and we have returned that book. Now let me just call this service in index.js, const book service equal to require book service. Okay, module dot exports book service. Now go to your controller. Here you can import. Now look, you don't have to import this book model in the controller, and that was our main aim. We don't want to perform any kind of database operation in the controller, so that's why we have written services. Okay, so services may you will have some database operation API like add book, delete book, update book, or this kind of operation. So this kind of operation you can write in the services, like CRUD operation, or you can say, or any specific requirement you have, you can write in the services. But remember, always you always write business logic in the controller. Whatever you write in the controller will be accessible to the end user. Whatever is end user demanding is has to be written in the controller. Now just import that book service. Services, here we have simply imported book service. Now instead of writing this thing, I can simply write await book service dot get all books, and what this get all books is taking as an argument is only next. Okay, this is done, right? And this was returning a promise because we have written async, so we have to write await. Now another one was this one, so await, leave that as it is. Here we will write book service dot add book. Add book was taking a body parameter, so we have to write request dot body, and another parameter was next. So this is done, right? Now look, our code is more cleaner and more structured, and that's what our main goal was, to make this code more cleaner so that anyone can read this code and get information whatever is written. So we have created services, we have created controller, we have created services, we have created controller. You have information like why to create controller, why to create services, and what to write in controller and what to write in services. Now we again have one problem. The problem is, here if you see, we are calling mongoose function directly, like book.create, book.find. Suppose we have hundreds of controller. So in hundreds of controller, we will be writing this mongoose function every time. And that's not a problem, but the problem is we want our application more standard, like we want our custom database function, so that anyone can remember our naming convention, and based on that they can use that function name anywhere in our application. Okay, so to do that, we will be creating one database helper, and database helper is not actually required if you see, but we will be creating database helper to follow our naming convention. So we will just write db.helper.js. Here we will be writing all kind of database operation possible. So let me just check, ask you, what is the possible database operation? So the possible database operation is so what are the database function possible? Like you can simply think about CRUD operation. In the CRUD we create, update, delete, and we find. Okay, So to find anything, we can simply write, like, there are two possibilities. One is find one function, and another one is find all. Now what is the next possibility? Next possibility is create, then delete, then what is the possibility, like update one or update anything you can write. So I'm just writing update function, sync. Okay, so we have sufficient functions. Depending on the requirement we will add in the future, but as of now I can think this is sufficient. But here you have one find one. So what to write in find one? How do we know that which model we are going to use this find one? So to know the model, we will be passing model as an argument. Now we may have some kind of filter, like we may want to apply some kind of filter. So we will be passing second argument as a filter, but filter will not be a required argument always. But in case of find one, filter is always required, so don't make this optional. We may have one options like sort by or limited anything, or limit, or any option, extra options we want to provide. So we can pass in the options, and the last argument is next. Okay, now we will simply return await model dot find, and here we will apply filter. Okay, and if option is available, then we will apply options. This is done, right? Now we have one more, find model, find all. So here we will have filter, options. This will be optional. You can make options optional here as well. Here is a filter will be optional, and the last argument will be next. Why we are passing next every time? So next we are passing to handle any kind of error. Suppose in future you want to write some logic, and you want to handle database error. So you can handle database error here, and if you get any error, you can simply pass it to the next function. So that's the main logic. Currently we are not handling that, but in future, if required, you can do that. We will simply return model dot find. Here we will apply filter, options. That's it. Now again we have model to create model. So to create model, we have to pass body. Okay, we have to pass body. Now I'm not going to pass any options or filter here, because we are not going to perform any kind of filter. We are just creating document. So in the document we don't have to perform any kind of filter. So we can just simply pass model, body, and next. Here we can return model dot create. Here we will pass body. Okay, If you want to handle any kind of error, you can simply pass it into the next function. Delete. In the delete, we have to pass model is the first argument. Here we will be passing filter, because based on the filter we will be deleting. Then options if required, and next. Here we will simply return model dot remove. I'm not sure what is the function to remove any document, so I will just simply search remove or delete document mongoose. What is the function to delete? Delete by id. Okay, just search model.find.remove. okay, remove is the function. Okay, got it. No. This one is okay. Yeah, this one will work. Okay, we were right, and we will just simply pass filter. Options is not required here, so we can simply delete options as well if we don't want. Options is not required here. Now update. Update will also have model, it will have updated body, then you can write filter, then options, then next. Okay, now here you can simply return model dot update. So first what you have to do is to pass body, or how to update in mongoose document. Mongoose update document. Just search and bit confused. Find one and update. This is taking query like to filter and the raw data, so we can use this function find one and update. So this is taking first argument as filter, the second argument is body. Here also I don't have any I'm not seeing any need to pass options, and that's it. That's the whole code base for database helper, and we are going to use this database helper in every services, remember. So now let's just export, just create index.js in database helper. Here we will be writing const db helper equal to require db helper and module dot exports db helper. So this is done, right? This is done, and let me just check if my recording is working. Okay, yeah, this is working. So this is done. Now let's just delete whatever is minimize whatever is not required. This book controller is no more required as of now. You can see book service index.js is also not required. db helper is also not required. Book service is only required. So here we will just remove this. No, we don't remove it. We will be passing this book to the db helper. So just first import db helper, Now instead of writing this raw function directly, I'm just going to write this db helper here. db helper dot find all. This db helper dot find all is taking a model as a parameter, so I'm going to pass model as a parameter. Do we have any filter to apply? No, we don't have any filter to apply. We can simply pass empty body, empty object as options, and the next argument is next. So that's it. Again, here to create any document, we will simply call dbhelper.create. This is taking argument as model, next argument as request.body, means body, and another argument as next. So that's it. And this code will work exactly same as the previous code. But here you will see we will be reusing this DB helper everywhere. We will not write book model.find or book model.something. We will simply pass book model and get whatever operation we want from the DB helper. Okay, so that's our main code, and we have successfully implemented DB helper as well. We have successfully called DB helper in the services. Let's just format this document. So this is done. Look, our app is also restarted, and here we will just go and refresh the page. Look, we are getting the same output. So you may ask, like, how will you know that this DB helper is getting called? Just simply write one console log here from DB helper. Okay, no, app is restarted. Refresh this. You will get console log. Where is that console log? Okay. Oh, no, I have written console log in the wrong function. I have to write here. And since this is we are getting output, so there is no point of writing that console log, because if that was not returning from the database, then we have never get this output. But I will just show you. Look, this function is getting called. So so this is also done, and we have successfully implemented, we have successfully cleaned our code. What was the main aim? Main aim was to just modularize our whole code base, and we have successfully done that. So let me just walk you through overall how request response cycle works as of now in our application. So first request will come, it will go to route, book route, then /book, it will just go here, it will just call this display book information. Now our request is here. Now it will just simply call to find all book, it will simply call get all books from the book service. Now book service will call DB helper to find all books. Now DB helper will find all book, delete that console log, DB helper find all book, and it will simply return. Now we are returned from the DB helper. Now this book service will also return. Now controller will have all books, and it will simply pass that book to the this book pages, and our response cycle ends here. So this is how request response works in our application as of now. If you have any doubt, let me know. But this is the more cleaner and more modular approach to write any Nodejs application. Anyone can read your code and understand whatever is written. In the next video, since we have successfully created book, displayed a book, then we have successfully implemented controller services DB helper. So in the next video, I am going to add one feature to sign up and log in a student. So that is the main aim, and which we will be doing in the next video. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day.